guys, how's it going? It's me and my buddy Dixon. So long, buddy. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm sorry. Love you. Alright. My little one. Or you can stay. You just have to be nice. Okay. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I have learned so much from the first year marriage, and I know that before I got married, I was looking at so many videos on advice and things that could help us. I was listening to podcasts, reading the word, and just looking at different things that I could do to kind of help my marriage because I was new at it.
I've never been married before.
So yeah, I just wanted to learn, and I hope that someone can get something out of this. Maybe you can learn from our mistakes or see what helped us. And it's different for everyone. I know that it's really situational, you know? You get married at different ages, different seasons of lives, and it's not the same for everyone, and that is okay. But I know that there's certain foundational rules, not rules, but there's certain things that help every single marriage. And what I love about marriage is that you don't ever perfect it, because we're all humans and we all fail. There's never gonna be a perfect marriage out there because there's no perfect person out there. So two imperfect people just trying to serve each other, just trying to love one another and look out after each other. So yeah, let's get started. Marriage is definitely a ride, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but when you're able to work things out, it is so great and it's rewarding. And I'm only like a year into marriage. I know I have so much more to go, and maybe the older people are like, I know that it's gonna be tough, but I wanna make sure that I train myself for that. It's kind of like being a runner, you know? I was a cross-country runner, so I know races are tough, they're not easy, but working out throughout the week and making sure that you are strong enough to handle those races will get you through them much more easy than if you don't work out. So it's I'm working out my marriage by trying to communicate, trying to learn new things, and I will make mistakes for sure. I'm a human. But I just want to make sure that I'm doing my part to serve my husband the way that I'm supposed to. Yeah, so here I go, enough of me rambling. Okay, so wedding night, I was so nervous. If you don't know Dave and I, we had to have chaperones for every single thing. It was kind of hard to get to know each other, but at the same time, I'm so glad that those barriers were there. Yeah, I'm just thankful for those rules in place, and I'm glad that my parents were the way that they were. It really helped, and I can only tell you that by me obeying my parents, even though people are like, what, you're obeying your parents? I can tell you it's so rewarding. Do not argue with them, just honor them. What the Bible says, honor your parents. And I have seen, why am I holding this pen? I have seen so many blessings from that in my marriage, and I'm just so thankful. If it wasn't for those things, I mean, who knows? But I honestly think it's because of that obedience, and yeah, I'm living a life that I would have never imagined, all because of the grace of God. And it's not that I have everything, I'm just so grateful in my heart. I'm grateful for those things that kept me safe and kept my guard guarded. Kept my heart guarded, yeah, okay, so I need to stop rambling. I tell a story, I'm supposed to go here, but I end up going all around. Sorry y'all, I am such a rambler, so I need to stop. Okay, I was heading towards the night of the wedding and how it was. So when we left the wedding, it was around 10 o'clock at night, and we headed, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law drove us to our hotel that we would be staying at for one night. Yeah, I was so nervous. I mentioned that we always had chaperones, so for the first time we were alone, there was nobody with us. It was gonna be the fresh start of something new, and we were really gonna start to get to know each other and date. So we got to our hotel room, and my husband was like, I wanna carry you inside. So he carried me inside, and it was really exciting and really nice. I was excited, but at the same time, I was so nervous because this was so new to me, and I had no idea what to expect. I was a virgin on my wedding night. I never slept with a man before that. So I was really new at all of this. I have to tell you that it was exciting and I was nervous. But I also have to say that a lot of the times in the beginning of our marriage, because I was raised in the church and just raised in a very strict home, I always felt like I was sinning. Like I couldn't just give myself to my husband naturally, because I always felt bad for everything. And even like the night of our wedding, we did not consummate our marriage, and that's something that I kind of struggled with because there was so much fear within me, and I just felt like I was doing something wrong, even though I wasn't. Like I was, I should have been ready to give myself away, but I was a little hesitant, and I felt bad for my husband, but eventually we got there. And now like intimacy is just such a beautiful part of marriage. I always had this mindset like I'm sinning, and I don't know why. Like I shouldn't have felt that way, but it was like I was told my whole life, like, no sex before marriage, no this and that, behave, don't touch your boyfriend, whatever, all these things. And then like you get married and now it's like do whatever you want, and it was like from one extreme to the other was a little tough for me, and it just took a while for it to settle in, but eventually we got there. So we slept, we woke up the next day, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like sometimes when I'm traveling, I go to sleep and I wake up and I'm like, where am I? I'm like, oh yeah, I came to visit blah, 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 right? I don't know if that's happened to you, but that happened to me on my wedding night, and I woke up and I was like,
what's happening?
And I like for a second forgot where I was, and I woke up and I saw Dave next to me and I screamed. I was like, Dave, what are you doing here? And he's like,
it's okay, like we're married.
I'm like, oh my goodness, you're right, I'm married. Like it was so beautiful to be married, and I was so excited. Like don't get me wrong, I was literally pinching myself as I was like done with, like the wedding day had ended. I was like, am I dreaming? Like I'm married, this is amazing, this is so exciting. I was so happy. I was under my parents' authority till the day I got married, and then the day I got married was like, it was kind of difficult to let go. I didn't have many say over the decisions in my life, so it was kind of hard to kind of have that up to me now, and now like share that with my husband. It was like interesting. So I will tell you, early on in marriage, I kind of struggled making decisions, and that's not for everyone. Some people are independent like before they get married, but I was not. Yeah, so that was that. Honeymoon was great, it was amazing, we had so much fun. From the day that I got married till today, I love my husband so much more. We get along so much more, and it only gets better. So I'm going to talk about now like honeymoon and real life, going back to home life and how that was. So I can proudly list 10 things that helped us and 10 things that we learned as we went by. So number one was adjustments. Adjustments was something that every marriage is going to have to make, because you are two people and you come together. Two people with different lifestyles, you come together now. So when I got married, I recently graduated from college, and I had just begun working my full-time job. So I barely started making a real income, because before that I dedicated to like my studies full on. I was an athlete, so I did my sport and I studied, and that was like my thing. But yeah, my husband had already been like on his own. He was independent, making his living. So there was like a couple of adjustments that we had to make. For me, I don't think it was too hard, because I had been living in college, so I knew what it was like to live with a roommate. And yeah, I had to share the space with my sister. I didn't have a problem with sharing, but of course I never lived with a male before, and my husband as well. He had not shared a room with someone since like he was like a little boy probably. So just those adjustments, getting used to that intimacy life was like the beginning. That was the hardest adjustment, but once we got through that was fine. I wasn't a wife before, so I didn't know what that meant, and I think really you make of it what you want. But being in the Hispanic culture, I feel like there's just this stigma. There's a stigma of being a Hispanic wife. Like you have to know how to cook, you have to be like this great cleaner, so tidy, all this stuff, and work, and you have to be like a super woman. I wasn't used to that, and I had to just kind of like adjust to that and give myself a break every once in a while. And I remember my husband being like, you don't have to do this. And he was so kind to me. He was always like, you know, you do this because you want to. You don't have to do this. And I felt so much better. And just kind of like how we shared those chores, we talked about it, you know. Sometimes I would wash the dishes, sometimes he would wash the dishes. He would help me clean, I would clean, and we would take turns cooking and stuff like that. So there was an adjustment phase, but I feel like what was more difficult was my point number 2, which was we were raised very differently. My parents really enforced education. That to them was priority. They wanted us to go to school, get a career. My sister and I, we got to stay in school. So it was kind of like easier for us. You know, we got to live that college experience life and not work. We kind of work, but like not like work full time and go to school. I know there's a lot of people that do that, and props to you guys. I did work like my last 2 years of college. I was a cashier. I worked at Jewel and I worked at Mariano's, and I worked at school too. And I was also doing like a lot of things for my school, but it was a different lifestyle than like working and getting used to paying bills and paying rent and doing all that stuff. I didn't have to do that. So because we were raised differently, we had like certain classes like, no, this is how you do things. And he was like, no, this is how you do things. And we had to learn like, it's not this way and it's not that way. We have to make it our way. Okay, so point number 3, I want to say that conflict is good. Conflict is so good in marriage. I remember before Dave and I got married, we had so many like married couples, tell us like, you're gonna fight, you're gonna argue, you're gonna get angry at each other. This is what happened to us and all this, and this is how we fought. And just all of these like crazy, you're gonna fight stories. And yeah, you're gonna argue. I remember there was just nights that I would get so angry and I would try to pull the covers from Dave, trying to get his attention, but at the same time ignore him. Talk about the things. Do not just assume what the other person is thinking, because that's gonna always create more problems. Do not keep it to yourself. Say it. Your spouse probably doesn't even know what you're thinking or that you have that even in mind. And that's happened to us so many times. And it's all because of miscommunication. Like, please communicate the things. And remember that this is a lifetime commitment. So when you are arguing, do not say things that you're gonna regret later, because you're gonna get back to your happiness and lovey-doveyness. And some things that you say, you cannot take those back. You cannot just delete them or erase them. They're there and they can scar the other person. Be careful with what you say. Try to be very gentle. If you're not in the mood, you know, say, hey, I'm just not in the mood right now. And say it because you don't want to hurt the other person. Conflict is good for marriage. I think that every time Dave and I had an issue and we argued, we always came out stronger at the other end because we were able to understand one another. So yeah, don't bottle things up inside, because that's gonna cause just like rage later on and it won't be pretty. So please communicate, and conflict is good. Conflict is good is what I want to say, but conflict with the end goal being a stronger marriage and a better understanding of one another. Tip number 4, pray for your spouse. If you are someone who loves the Lord, you know you want to see your spouse being with the Lord, trusting God in every decision. That's something that's big for me, big for us. And I feel like a lot of the times spouses have problems with the other spouse because they fight with their words instead of being on their knees. And I decided at the moment I was not going to fight with my spouse. I was going to fight on my knees. And I pray to God, the only one that I know who can change my spouse. And I remember seeing a complete change. Every single thing that I pray to God about, he just put that inside of my husband. And I was like, wow, God, like, you're so good. And we cannot change our spouse. We need to accept them the way that they are. I cannot change him. I have to love him the way he is. Pray specifically about your spouse and pray that God works in them in wonderful ways. Number 5, communicate. It is so important. Talk about the big things, talk about the little things, talk about purchases that you're gonna make. Talk about everything, talk about what you love, talk about how's your day. And I know that women talk a lot, and sometimes husbands do not want to talk when they get home. So give them their space, let them watch what they want to watch, or let them relax, take a break. Don't let something go by without letting your spouse know, especially if it's something really important. You don't want them to feel like you don't trust them or they don't trust you. And communicating is just such a big part. It's like in any relationship, you know, your best friends are your best friends because you hang out with them, you talk to them, you can trust them. Don't forget the reason why you married your spouse in the first place, right? I don't think anyone comes into marriage saying, I want to get a divorce, right? But people get a divorce because they lose that like communication. And I've been listening to a lot of XO marriage podcasts, and they talk about how like a big percentage of divorce happens because of like not really big issues. Let each other know how you're feeling. Tip number 6, be each other's best friends and have fun. I think this is something that sometimes we forget. Have fun, laugh at each other's jokes, be silly with one another, don't take it personal. And yeah, have fun. You don't have to do something expensive to have fun. You can go to the park, you can have a fun adventure walk around your city, or ride your bike, or give each other massages. Yeah, just have fun, be each other's best friends. So tip number 7 is place God at the center. I think this is so important, like I mentioned earlier, you know, praying about your relationship, praying about your marriage, and asking God that His will would be done in your life and not your own. I know so many other times as humans, we love control. We love to have control. We love to know what's next. We like to have things planned out. You never know when your life's gonna take a turn. And so the best thing we can do is leave our life in God's hands. When I was single, or when I also initially started dating my husband, one thing that I prayed about was like, I don't want my joy to come from my spouse. I don't want my satisfaction to be in anything of this world other than God, because then I know that those things will eventually can leave me, can die out, and I will be left empty. But if God's one that's filling me, I will not run empty. I will not run dry, because His love is enough for me and it satisfies me. Tip number 8, continue to romance one another. Continue to know each other's love language. Like both of our love language is quality time. We love to spend time with each other, and quality time is not quantity. Because you're married does not mean that, okay, now you're with each other 24/7. This just means that now you have to be intentional about how you spend quality time with one another. Some of the most sweetest moments are things that you don't post, like you don't say. They're just intimate. They're between you and your spouse. And yeah, continue to romance one another. Don't let that spark go. And I know we're only 1 year, but I hope that we can continue to do this till our last breath. Number 9, serve one another. I know that sometimes we can get this idea when we're married, like, so I'm in it, like, what are you gonna do for me? You know, like, I've done this and that, like, what have you done for me? Or we can get into that mentality where we're the ones always, like, we can get into this like victim mode, and instead of realizing the reason why we got married. And the beauty of marriage is to serve your spouse, is to say, how can I help you today? Like, what can I do? And do that in a loving way. Don't do it in an ungenuine way. I don't even know if that's a word, but yeah, no one likes things when it's like, okay, I have to do this for you, you know? But when it comes from the heart, that's when it's sweet. And yeah, serving your spouse is great. When you do things serving one another, there's this harmony that happens in marriage, and it's really nice. Number 10, celebrate each other's differences. They don't have to be like you, and you don't have to be like them. You married them as they are, accept them as they are, right? You can't change your spouse, but you can celebrate who they are. And I think it's so cool being different. My husband's my opposite. Like, where he's strong, I'm weak, and where I'm strong, he may be weak. And I feel like we can help each other that way. If we were both the same person, oh my Lord, we complement each other, and it's great. So I'm gonna get to the last part, which is just like some Q&As. One was something that I didn't know about my partner until I got married, and I will say 2 things. Is 1, he loves to sing a lot. He sings more than I do and can do better runs than I can, and he is like this very neat and organized guy, which was great. Also, another question was tips or advice for single people, and I will tell you that there is no perfect person out there. It's good to have standards. It's good to pray about your future spouse, but know that there is not a perfect person out there. So we're all human, we're all faulty, we're all flawed, and I think that being vulnerable with one another is great. You know, I love seeing flawed people. I love knowing that people make mistakes because we're human. No one's perfect, and yeah, get to have fun, serve the Lord, do your thing, and that person will come, and it's gonna be amazing. Pray that you are prepared for that moment. Enjoy your singleness. I feel like I was gonna say something and I totally forgot. Okay, so expectations and general advice. I hope that I gave a lot of advice with my video and expectations. Expect the unexpected, and expect that there's gonna be things that may not feel good at the moment, but know that this is for a lifetime. Don't stress the small things, and I know the person who sent this. I wish you the best in marriage. I know you guys are gonna have just such a great ministry. You guys are amazing, and I just wish every marriage and single person, everyone out there, a blessed day. So thank you guys for watching this video. Stay amazing. Bye guys.